These ones are pretty good. Now, real quickly, some different, this will go pretty fast, but here are some tips for what I would do if I was going to start a company right now. And I go through this. I generally start a company about every 6 months. They call your biological clock, that's my entrepreneurial clock. So the fine print here is that this is what I would do. So I'm not saying this is what you should do, but if you try to generally just say what everybody should do, you can't really say anything because everybody's situation is different. So this is very specific to me. This is based on things I know, what I like, and things I try to do. But this is what I would do, and what things I think through if I'm trying to come up with a new idea for a company that I would stand on. I really hope I don't just talk the whole time. But these ones are pretty good. Now, real quickly, some different. This will go pretty fast, but here are some tips for what I would do if I was going to start a company right now. And I go through this. I generally start a company about every 6 months. They call your biological clock, that's my entrepreneurial clock. So the fine print here is that this is what I would do. So I'm not saying this is what you should do, but if you try to generally just say what everybody should do, you can't really say anything because everybody's situation is different. So this is very specific to me. This is based on things I know, what I like, and things I try to do. But this is what I would do, and what things I think through if I'm trying to come up with a new idea for a company that I would think about right now. So first of all, I would pick a problem that I have. So don't try to work on something that nobody knows, that's some problem you don't know about or you don't have. I mean, you can, but you don't really have many advantages there, and I think it's going to be harder to stay interested in it. It's harder to be successful at it. It's better if you can find something that you really care about, a problem you really have. You're going to be much better at solving that and learning about it and helping people with it if it's something that you really have. So I should start some kind of service for short, bald, nearsighted people. I'd find a co-founder. The first company I started by myself, and I didn't have any co-founders, and now that was, I don't regret that. That was good. But now I know it's really hard starting a company, and you need a lot of things to get done, and you want other people to feel really bought into it, and so I really recommend finding a co-founder. It's also a really good first test. Like if you can't convince one other person to quit what they're doing and do your startup, maybe that's a bad idea. Maybe it's not that good to begin with. But that's a good first test. It's go find somebody else and convince them that this thing is such a good idea and it's so worthwhile and it's going to either make such a difference or be so fun or be so profitable that they too should drop what they're doing and come do this with you. And I think you won't regret it. I think it's just like being with the other companies in that one place. Being an entrepreneur is really hard, and having somebody else to go through it with you can be really helpful. I wouldn't have any big secrets. Maybe if occasionally you really invent something new and it's something you need to patent and you need it for legal reasons, be careful about showing people. But most of the time, most of the entrepreneurs I talk to, the things that they think are secret are really stupid and aren't really worth keeping secrets. And I just find that when I have a new idea, I want to talk to as many people as I can about it. I want to get as much feedback as I can because the chances are I don't know everything I need to know about it. And the good things that come from talking to, I know all kinds of good things that have come from me talking to lots of other people about it. And I learn, oh, someone else is trying to solve that problem in a different way, and I learn about, oh, this other person has that problem, you should go talk to them, and I learn about, oh, here's an idea about how you might solve it, or a technology you might use, or somebody you might go partner with. There's all these kinds of good things that happen. And I've never had anything bad happen. And while I'm sure that bad things have happened to people, I don't know of anyone who's ever had a bad thing happen to them from talking too much about their company. So I really would. I think a lot of people have this tendency to feel oh, I have to keep it really secret, someone's gonna steal my idea, and it just very rarely happens. And especially if you're talking to a VC or you're talking to somebody like me, I've already got 5 companies I'm trying to run. You better have a really good idea if I'm gonna drop the stuff that I'm already doing to come steal your idea when I've already got all this other stuff keeping me busy. And so I just really would encourage you to talk to a lot of people about it and try to get as much feedback as you can and not worry so much about only talking to people under NDA or keeping it in stealth mode or anything like that. That's not really as helpful. I'd outsource as much as possible. Just focus on the things where you really add value, where the things you're doing are unique, and where you can, especially if you can outsource it inexpensively, outsourcing stuff to other people, whether that's programming work or it's design work or it's office work or it's posting stuff to Craigslist or whatever it is that has to happen with your business. That also helps you keep things really lean and keep your overhead really low. I'd raise as little money as possible. A lot of people think that raising money or going to venture capital is like a first step or like a proving point. Like, oh, great, we're real because we raised money. And it's not. Like, it really should be like a last resort. Like, you should only raise money because you have to, because you can't find some other way to get money to pay for what you do, or you can't bootstrap it, or this opportunity really is so big and so timely that you have to move really, really fast, which usually, even though it feels that way, it's usually not. And so I just really would encourage you to, even though it feels like, oh, this would be so much easier if I just had more money right now, it's a really good influence that you're tight and that you are trying to figure out how to do it efficiently, and I would encourage you to avoid raising money and put that off. And I think if you look back to a lot of entrepreneurs that you might have heard about in the news or respect a lot, you'll find a lot of them bootstrapped their businesses at the beginning and didn't take a lot of money and were able to go kind of get it working on their own. And if they did raise money, raised it very later stage down the road. And one way you can do that is get customers to pay in advance. And that's something I didn't really understand at first, and I was really intimidated to do. And I was like, no, they're not going to pay me for this. Like, I'm going to have to prove it to them. But you'd be surprised. A lot of times you can get people to pay you in advance, and that kind of changes everything. Like, you can. Sometimes you can get them to pay you. Like, if the problem you're solving is good enough, if it's valuable enough, if people really want it solved, sometimes they'll pay you when you don't have anything, just to be able to use it as soon as you're done. And that's smart. That's the kind of thing that would be really great if you can get your customers to pay before you even start working on it. So then you never have to raise money. But always build mobile first. So it doesn't mean, like, there's lots of problems to solve, and not all of them are mobile. Some of them aren't. But like, mobile's where kind of like Austin's where the growth is. Mobile's where the growth is, and mobile's where a lot of activity is moving online. There's more people are on mobile than are on computers. And it's only going to continue to grow. And so anytime I think about a new business, a lot of times I think about it like as a computer solution, and then I stop and try to step back. Like, no, wait, what's the mobile version? What's the mobile version of this problem? How do I do that? And instead of like building the website first and then building the mobile one after, I try to really encourage our team to let's build the mobile one first. What if it's just a mobile site? What would it look like? And not only is that where I think the opportunity is, the big market is, but also that's actually easier. Like, it forces you to simplify it and kind of throw away a lot of other stuff and figure out what's really, really important, because you have so much little space to deal with. You can't add a million features. You have to just pick the ones that really matter. I would never buy any servers. I've never bought a single server for Other Inbox. We've got like hundreds of servers that we run in the cloud, but we never bought any of them. We don't pay for them. We never had to spend $1 million to go buy a bunch of servers up front. We just pay every month for what we use. We get a big spike from a big news hit or something, and we need to scale. We can launch a whole bunch of servers really fast, and then turn them all off when we don't need them anymore. That's so. I'd really encourage you to. That's part of the outsourcing everything you can philosophy. I'd build it in Ruby on Rails. There's lots of great things to build it in. It's not like that's the only thing you can do, but for me, that's what I would pick. That's what works. I find works really well. It can solve pretty much any kind of problem we need. And the kind of people that learn Ruby on Rails are the kind of people that do startups. It's also kind of like, and they think that they're focused on how to do things quickly and efficiently. And like I said, there's lots of different ways to climb the mountain. There's other solutions and technologies that can work well and do work well. But for me, I would generally try to do it in Rails, because I think you're going to get the most bang for the buck. If I were going to do another company today and I wasn't already part of Capital Factory, I would totally go do Capital Factory, even though I already could be a mentor at one of them. Because I think even though I can mentor other people, I still get a lot of benefit from being mentored by the other mentors that are there. And right now, that's basically what I get out of it anyway. I'm putting Other Inbox through Capital Factory every year, because I get to go sit in on all the things, and I get to talk to all the other mentors, and I talk to them about my business too. It's not just something for first-time entrepreneurs. And I think location's really key, something to think about. I think Austin's great, like I mentioned. I'd look at Santiago, Chile. They have a great program for entrepreneurs right now. They'll give you like 40 grand to move there for 6 months and just work on your company there. And then if you do that, they're going to they do a bunch of other things to try to help you, kind of like Capital Factory does. Like they introduce you to all kinds of other Chilean businesses and give you free office space and all this other stuff. I'm not saying that's the right thing for every business, but I'd really think about that. There's a lot of emerging markets and there's a lot of different places where you can get where you can stick out or be different. And I think Austin fits into that category too. So those are my 10. If I was going to do